Hey guys, we are back with another Super 7 Masters of the Universe Classics review, taking a look at the William Stout Dark Despot Skeletor figure. This guy is, just like with He-Man, one that I have wanted and wanted and wanted because I just love this movie, and I love this version of Skeletor. I love the Skeletor performance in this movie. Frank Langella as Skeletor is just... I mean, he's up there. So this is a huge thing for me, just from a nostalgia standpoint and then from a toy standpoint. He, of course, comes with a brown mailer box, just like the rest of the wave. And then the figure comes in the classic and, I guess, done at this point, green Grayskull Bricks bubble packaging. So the figure's there in the window. You've got his name down there on the bottom. And then the back of the package has some fantastic artwork of Skeletor, as well as cross-sell, and then a bio. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is at long last, our movie Skeletor, or as he's called for this line, the Dark Despot Skeletor version. Something that, just like with He-Man, I've wanted for a really, really long time, for too many reasons to count, frankly. But on any given day, I might tell you that this is my favorite version of Skeletor, because I love everything about the characterization, the look, just how they used Skeletor in the movie. Frank Langella's performance notwithstanding, because it's stellar. But the look, the design of this Skeletor, just the fact that he gets to win for the majority of the movie and is so incredibly evil, I just dig everything about it. And it's another one of those things where we knew, 100% knew that we were never getting a toy based on this version of Skeletor, but we finally have it. So I can't really describe how exciting this is to actually have these figures in hand. You just have to have them. You have to get them in hand. You have to play with them, because if you're as big a fan of the movie as I am, you're already there. You already know just how big of a deal this is. And this Skeletor is right up there with He-Man for me. So let's jump right in after a minute of rambling and see how this guy moves around. So just like with He-Man, he is on, what, a 12-year-old body at this point, basically, and he is more limited than He-Man because, as you can see, he's got a lot more stuff going on. We've got a ton of robes all over him, so if you're familiar with MOTU Classics, you know what's going to happen to all of this. So we've got a head that really can't move. He can swivel side to side, but he can't do a whole lot. Arms go out, shoulder pads and the cloak really hinder him. He swivels. You've got a bicep swivel. You've got a single jointed elbow. We've got rotation and hinges at those wrists. Ab crunch goes forward, and then he goes backwards a little bit. Pretty decent. You've got your waist twist in there. Legs go out as far as the skirt will allow, further than he needs, truly. They go forward a little bit, but the skirt gets in the way again, and then they go backwards a little bit, but you probably can't see it because of the skirt. There is, take my word for it, a thigh cut up in there. We've got single jointed knees. He does not have a boot cut or shin swivel, but he has rocker, which is good for this line. So he's got rocker action, pretty much unencumbered, and then you've got hinges down at those ankles. So for the most part, pretty par for the course when it comes to MOTU Classics, but he is no doubt as limited as I expected him to be, just based on all the stuff he's got going on. Now, of course, just like with He-Man, there is zero doubt why we're buying these figures at this point. This one has to be about the looks and the design and just how close they got it, because, well, this is really close. Granted, I will say at the outset, the design and the MOTU robe system that they go with and the armor definitely impedes movement on this figure. There is no doubt about it. Am I going to cry about it? I'm not going to cry about it, but it definitely stops him from moving really well. That said, it does work really well, and it gives a good platform, so to speak, to give all of these embellishments, because realistically, this could have all been soft goods. We have a soft goods cape in the line because of He-Man, so ideally they could have done that, but I don't know if some of these details would have come through, because there is a ton of intricate work all over the skirt piece and these wraps that come down, not to mention the fact that there would have been just a ton of fabric all over this figure. So I'm not really sure if I would prefer that. It's just, could it have happened? Maybe. Should it have happened? I'm not so sure, because while he does get in the way of himself in many ways, I do think that what we have here just looks so good. The armor is incredibly well done. It does not come off, just like we've seen, I think, with every Super 7 Classics figure. It doesn't really come off. You could get it off if you wanted to, but it's not supposed to. And then you've got like the robes with these straps that come down with tons of intricate detail, these little just kind of embellishments that run down, various different designs too, skulls and all kinds of little stuff. Honestly, it's so small you can't really make it out at times. You've got all the detail that's on the armor, and the armor all has kind of a like almost it's a goldy bronze dry brushing on it. It's on all of the armor pieces and on the skirt, because in the movie Skeletor kind of shines gold a lot. Not specifically talking about the end, but the all of the embellishments on the armor do have a little bit of dry brushing on it. And then you've got all these little red touches here on the chest, on the belt buckle, and then on the shoulder pads. And you've got some of the kind of techno-y looking vibe that you've got going from the movie on his wrist gauntlets here. The cape looks really good. It hangs really well. It does have, and it's probably not going to come through on camera because I can really only pick it up every now and then. There is a bit of a red tinge to this cape, which does kind of factor into his look. You can almost see it a little bit, specifically down here at the end of this sort of outer robe, under hood thing. I don't know what you want to call that, but it looks good. It sits really well. It's not too heavy. It doesn't throw off his balance either. And in a general sense, I mean, this is the Skeletor that I've wanted forever. He does get in his way when it comes to moving because he has so much stuff on him, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't think this looked just amazing. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think at the end of the day, I prefer him having the older style non-soft goods approach, because I just don't think we would have gotten all of this stuff, because all of it is sculpted on. None of it's just straight painted. It's all sculpted, textured detail. So I like the fact that we do have all of that. There is a lot more substance to him because of that, and I really think the Horseman just knocked it right out of the park. Of course, ultimately, the head sculpt is really what matters the most here. It's Skeletor. How does the skull look? How does the face look? How much does this look like the movie? And, well, you tell me, because I think this looks about as good as I could have expected, as good as I could have hoped. I really like the way the hood sits, just to get away from the face for a second. Kind of droops back, so it adds to the bulk on the back of the figure. It adds to the kind of weight of his robes almost, so there's a lot of stuff going on up here. You can see more of the red tinge in there as well. But then the face, I mean, the face is just perfect. I think they did a superb job here. It very much evokes the look of the movie and of this design. You've got a very, very stark bone white face with the almost kind of brownish, peachy brushing to bring out some of that sculpt. The mouth is just a little bit open so you can see those teeth, which very much looks like he's kind of snarling, something that kind of exists throughout the entire movie as far as his expression. And then you've got those sunken eyes, which are in there, and they do have kind of dark circles painted underneath them just to make him pop a little bit more. If there's one area of this figure that really shines above all else, and I mean, come on, this had to be the thing, they really killed it with the head sculpt. I think it's just about as perfect as it's going to get. And the Horseman, again, just like with the rest of the figure, I think they really did a just truly amazing job here. This is amazing stuff here. You will be incredibly impressed when you get this thing in hand if you haven't already. Now, just like with He-Man, we of course have to take a look at Skeletor alongside some of the other figures that we have gotten in the Classics line. So of course we have to start with a more standard Skeletor figure, and I mean, well, there's really no comparison here. They are two incredibly different looks, incredibly different designs. He-Man skews a little more towards what you expect him to look like. This Skeletor is so different. It's not anything that really matters as far as comparison's sake go, but it's fun to look at them alongside each other. Now, as far as accessories goes, Skeletor doesn't have as many as He-Man does, but I think he comes with maybe a little bit more as far as substance goes. So to start with, well, we've got one of the big ones, literally the big one. We have got the Havoc staff. So this is the movie version, of course, and you can just pop it out of his hand there. And this thing is, well, it's taller than Skeletor, but it's got the very specific movie design for the ram skull on it, and I think it's just expertly done. It's really fantastic. The design for the skull itself, for the burst on the back, the gold, the wash in there, it's all really well done. Black staff with gold rings around it, so it very much evokes a movie look and feel. I think they did just a stellar job on this. This is easily one of my favorite accessories that we've gotten out of this small wave of figures. I think they absolutely killed it with that. And then we have got Skeletor's sword. Unfortunately, he does not have really any place to put this, and he he kind of just sort of pulls it out in the movie, so I'm not really sure what they were going to do or what they could have done, but it's got, you know, kind of like the bat wings down here almost with a skull, and then you've got a silver blade, so it's very, very similar to He-Man's. It's a little bit more plain than say, the ostentatious nature of the Havoc staff, but they go well together. But the big accessory, not literally, but figuratively, is this. So we've finally gotten a more screen-accurate Cosmic Key. It's not ridiculously oversized or painted weird or has a weird handle on it or anything like that. This is a much more screen accurate version. You can kind of cradle it in Skeletor's arms. He-Man can actually hold it really well in his more open gripping hand if you want to give it to him. And then of course, if you want to give it to Gwildor, it's got a little strap here so you can kind of put it around some fingers. And then there's just a lot more intricate detail. It's just a smaller piece in general too, so it definitely fits more in line with the scale of these figures. You know, rather than something that you would give the figure to hold, like something like this, the older one that came with Gwildor, or, you know, forbid the big prototype key that's just as big as Gwildor himself. So you've got stuff to really play into the more screen accurate kind of aspect of things, and I think that they absolutely killed it with just the design, the paintwork, the sculpt, because there's a lot of little things on this piece, and they did a great job here. So this is probably one of my favorite accessories in the entire line right now, just because, well, look at it, it's amazing. They did a fantastic job with it. So overall, I'm a big fan of this figure. I'm sure that pretty much is obvious at this point, and I'm sure it shows kind of where I lean when it comes to the rest of this wave. But these are really fantastic figures. Super 7 is kind of going out on just the highest of notes, and this Skeletor is an amazing figure. I've really wanted this for a very long time, and I'm so happy to say that I'm not even in the slightest bit let down. The only real negative with this particular figure is, well, he's kind of limited when it comes to articulation, but if you collect this line, you already know what you're getting into. He has a whole lot of armor on him. It's gonna happen. Otherwise, though, he looks amazing. The armor is really well sculpted, really well painted. The head sculpt is tremendous. He comes with one of the best looking Havoc staffs I've ever seen. This Cosmic Key is really something else. And I mean, he just looks so good. It's such an amazing thing to have this figure. It still doesn't seem real, honestly, that we've finally been able to get these after it being an impossibility for so long. So yeah, I'm a little over the moon with this figure because it's a version of Skeletor I've wanted for so long, and I think they just knocked it out of the park. The Horsemen really kind of went to town on this one, I think, and it shows. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Masters of the Universe Classics William Stout Collection Dark Despot Skeletor. That was a mouthful. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.